welcome to the Alexa Show. Tonight I have such an inspiring guest. With us, I have Joelle Eckstein. Joelle worked alongside her husband, whose charity raised over $100 million and also bridged gaps between people from many different backgrounds. After his sudden passing, Joelle took her pain and turned it into a purpose. She started a new charity in honor. Joelle, welcome to the Alexa Show, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me, Alexa. It's nice to see you.
So good to see you too. Can you tell us a little bit how you were motivated to start this new Eckstein Fund?
It's a big question, and I have to take you back maybe a few years to tell you a little bit about my background and who my husband was. You know, when I met my husband, I started changing. I wasn't the person really that I am today. When I met my husband, I was introduced to a whole new world of different values that I wasn't raised with. I moved to Israel on my own when I was 15 years old to boarding schools. I didn't really have a role model. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of I didn't really know. I was on my own. I got married and then went through divorce. I had 2 young children. When I met my husband, I was introduced to a world of values, of giving, of respect, of caring for others. My husband led by his example. You know, he never asked me to change or do anything for him, but he would be encouraging always and pushing me to do things out of my comfort zone, go study, go learn things. And he would just living by his side and seeing the kind of person that he was, always caring for others. I mean, he would be driving, and if he saw an older lady at a bus stop with carrying her groceries, I mean, he would stop and ask her if she needed help. That was the kind of person. He always cared for others much more than himself.
Truly beautiful soul. Truly beautiful soul.
A beautiful, beautiful soul, and the family of values and respect for their parents. I started slowly changing without realizing really that I was changing, and giving people, not speaking badly, giving people the benefit of the doubt, not judging, and always seeing the best in others. So that was a first introduction, but what really changed me when I started volunteering at a project that he started. My husband started a social hotline, you could say it, a social 911 hotline. And I started volunteering there, answering calls of people that would call asking for help. And at first I didn't really know how to answer the calls. It takes a lot of training and listening to people's cries, and then understanding that when somebody's crying or screaming at you at the other end of the line, it's nothing against you. It's they're out of their pain. They're expressing their pain.
Absolutely.
And slowly, taking that in, and I really started changing then. When you're helping someone on the phone, it's so fulfilling. The feeling of the gratifying feeling that you have is something I can't describe. I mean, I encourage everybody to volunteer or to do something for others. It is really
I agree with you. I wanted just to pause on that. It's just so beautiful, as I always say during my show. It's so incredible to give back to the community, but to be able to help someone over the phone, in person, with whatever they need, how small, how large, is really such a gift that person that we can give to someone to be able to help them in their time of need. And what you said was just so on point with when someone is upset and they're in pain, they're not taking it out on you, you're the one, but they're in so much pain. It's a cry for help, and it's a cry for someone, please help me stop from suffering. So it's just really amazing the work that you do.
Right. So you're exactly, it's exactly the way you explained it. And, and you start feeling that gratitude, start feeling every day, thanking God for what you're grateful for every single day. When you hear people's cries, it puts everything into proportion also, and you realize how blessed you are in every little thing that you have, and you start appreciating more and more everything that you have in life. So all of that, living next to this, my amazing husband, and this amazing work that I was doing, and it's a very slow and long process of working on yourself and deciding to see the good in everything. And I was introduced to books on positivity and good values, and how to make a better life. Small books like starting from like the 4 Agreements, for example, if you're familiar with it.
Yes.
It's a very, very powerful booklet, and it doesn't change you in one day. It takes deciding every day to work on yourself. I'll take one of the agreements of don't take things personally. That also connects to what I was saying about the calls when somebody's crying for help or something. Don't take it personally, but then expand it to every aspect in your life. Don't take anything personally. Don't assume anything also. If somebody says something, people drop to conclusions so fast and assume things. No, but I worked on myself to every day, again and again. Don't make this assumption, and don't we're so fast to say, oh, I'm not going to call this person, they're probably busy. No, don't assume that. Try and go for it.
Lifestyle change, as you said, it doesn't start overnight. It's something that is a conscious decision that you make every day, every
right.
minute of the day, of how you're going to respond or not respond. And it's not easy. And I want my viewers to know that it's not easy not to take something personal. It's not easy to not get offended or upset, but it's being able to pull yourself out of it and say, it's not about me. It's about someone who's in pain. And as a therapist myself, it is so empowering to sit in a room with a client, and it's nothing about me. It's about really helping that client heal, helping them find what's their triggers, but also empowering them is the most biggest gift and blessing that I get to do every day in my practice.
Exactly. And there are days where I didn't succeed. There are days where you think differently, and then you start again the next day. You keep trying. It's a long process. But I was already in that process of positivity when the day that actually on our 12th anniversary, and we were planning to go out that night, and we were going to spend a few days out in Tel Aviv by the beach. We had planned, booked a hotel and reserved tickets for a concert. Everything, I was living the dream with my husband. Everything was just so beautiful, full of love, and that day when I was in a high, and I left work early. Everybody was wishing me congratulations on your anniversary. I was taking a few days off, and I got home early, planning, we're finishing packing, and we were going to go off to Tel Aviv. And I got home and opened the door and found my husband dead on the kitchen floor. And in 1 second, my life just crumbled, and everything that I knew just disappeared. And the me that I was also disappeared. It's, and for an entire year, I was kind of in a shock, in this blur. And even in that blur, I was able to see some positive and see the good things. And only 1 month after he died is when I decided I need to continue doing this kind of volunteer work. I didn't know exactly to analyze it back then, but that's when I started the Eckstein Fund and rebuilding the hotline because it closed right after he died. And so I knew I had to rebuild it. I knew something inside me knew that the only way to heal was to keep helping others.
Yes.
And that's
Yes. I
that's
think it's
what I
your voice, that gut instinct. And I think your strength is so impressive because I think so many times it is so hard to pull yourself out of something like that, to find the effort, the energy, the motivation to move forward, and also to make yourself vulnerable to have to really help other people to be able to give back is just, it's so much, but it's really empowering to be able to do that. Now you're getting hundreds of calls a day. How do you keep up with such a demand? How do you find the strength in all of it?
it's not easy, Alexa. It's really a daily struggle. And for me especially, there are days, and I'll admit, there are days that I can't that I can't function. And you have to be good to yourself and understand, today I'm just going to cry in bed all day, and tomorrow will be another day. And just be gentle with yourself and identify that's okay. And it's two steps forward and one step backwards. It's the most excruciating pain that I think one can ever feel, to lose a spouse or someone that's so close. But even then, try to every day, and sometimes it's 1 minute at a time, but try to keep going. And really, the calls with people, seeing others people's pain and listening to others, it's really the only thing that's helped me.
I think that's so important to have those small goals, but small achievements, because
Right,
that builds back your confidence. That makes
right.
you start feeling a sense of purpose. And they're not small little
Hmm.
tasks. They're really big tasks when you're carrying around such heaviness and such loss, that being
Right.
able to get up, get dressed, and walk out the door and make it down the block is
Hmm.
huge. And I think it's
Right.
so powerful that people realize that this all doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, but
Exactly.
we can't go 0 to 100. We
Right.
start with these small steps, but that's our foundation. That's
Exactly.
our pillars of being successful, and also our testimony and our roles that we show those around us. You can do this too.
Exactly. And celebrating those small victories, I call it also. At the end of the day, be proud of yourself of that you did that. You set your goal just to get out and get dressed that day. Well, be happy and proud about yourself at the end of the day, and write it down. That's I made this. And then, slowly as the months went by, I set goals that were a little bit higher, and by next week I want to do this, I want to do that, and celebrate those small victories. So
And
it's all
make sure to keep judgment out of it too, because so we don't want to be
right,
hard on ourselves at these times. I always say no judgment. The world has enough criticism as it is. We don't need to
right,
criticize ourselves. Celebrate our accomplishments, not being
exactly.
unrealistic. We have to support ourselves and self-care. So in order, we role model for others what to do. Now, how does your charity differ from other charities? What makes you stand apart from all the others?
First, we're the only social hotline in Israel. There was no one place when my husband built this hotline. There was no one place that would connect all the other charities. When someone calls us, we don't try to do everything ourselves. If somebody calls, let's say that a mother that doesn't even have beds for her children, they've been sleeping on a thin blanket on the floor in the middle of the winter. So I don't try to see how we are going to find her a bed. I first explore what other charities are around that maybe gather secondhand furniture, and where we could refer people. So we try to be the umbrella organization of other charities. So our database includes over 600 local charities. So we refer people to the place where they can get help. And also we are an emergency. There are hundreds, thousands of charities in Israel that do amazing work. We're not trying to replace anybody. We're trying to give something on top and be different from all others. So if there are charities that distribute food for the elderly, for Holocaust survivors. So we're not trying to do that because that exists already. But somebody calls us, like I said earlier, with the 911, with the emergency where somebody doesn't even have a loaf of bread at home. They're not asking for the ongoing delivery once a month or X amount of time. We refer them to another charity that can take care of that. But when the emergency, we'll send them the basic like food box to get them by that week until another charity can take over or until a social worker can take care of the family. So with that, like the emergency room, we don't want to hear about all your problems or what's your emergency today?
What crisis? Well, we're about at
Exactly.
the end of the show. How can my viewers help? How could they get involved?
Well, you're in the US and we're in Israel. We have a website, and any amount helps with distributing the emergency food or sending sometimes baby formula or an electricity bill because the electricity was cut off and a family is living all of a sudden without electricity and we need to, cover that electricity bill and connect them right away. So any gift, any small contribution makes a huge difference. So on our website, we welcome any gift, any donation is significant for us. I don't make anything from this. I'm a volunteer entirely. So everything, every dollar goes to help people.
Great, great. Well, thank you, Joelle. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It was just a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me, Alexa. It's wonderful. And keep up your good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in again. And make sure you're always trying to find your peace within the chaos. Good night, everyone.
Good night.